Larry Fink from BlackRock warned us about this, as did Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy. They know something that 99% of people overlook or refuse to acknowledge, and as a result, those people are being left behind. And that's really bad. Right now, we're seeing huge consequences from the unlimited money printing, which has increased dramatically since 2020. Rising prices for food, housing, and many other things are making everything more and more expensive. And now we dream of making a lot of money, becoming rich, and living a really cool life. And it's absolutely legitimate for you to dream about that. But then you quickly realize that it doesn't work as easily as you might have imagined. You really have to put in the effort, pay attention, and truly want it, and nobody wants to be poor or struggling financially, but you have to do something to change that. And BlackRock, or rather Larry Fink, is warning people that things are going to get even worse. So for us, this means we have to change something. We can change something even if it's tough. And for that, we need to realize that we have to start. You have to understand, now is the moment when the big money is being made. Whenever people enter the market, for example, they think they'll get rich overnight, but the really big sums come from having bought something years ago, or from investing repeatedly over months, or simply by regularly putting in smaller amounts. That's what's called taking advantage of the cost averaging effect. It might sound a bit grim, but that's just how it works. And I'm trying to explain this to you without making it too depressing. The thing is, once you understand this, it doesn't get better, it actually gets worse. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, they don't want to accept it. Years ago, I already told my friends they should invest, set money aside, do something, because no one is going to come and help them. That doesn't sound super nice, I know, but a lot of people expect to be taken by the hand and told exactly what to do. And when that doesn't happen, they blame others for their lives. And honestly, I have no idea how to change that. But every time I think about this, it becomes clear to me how important it is to deal with investing, saving, and planning ahead for yourself and for your family. But most people do nothing, make no effort, don't set any money aside, and don't really invest. And do you know how many people I've seen who still have cryptocurrencies from years ago? I mean, from 4 or 5 years ago, or even longer. And they're waiting for that one cryptocurrency which was already junk back then to make them a millionaire. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not how any of this works. You have to do more, learn, know what you're doing, and where you're investing. And if you're interested, click the link in the description below the video and check it out. Take action now. And do you see how bad things are getting? Rising prices and so on. So make sure you keep earning money. Make sure you keep setting money aside, keep investing, and do what you can because you're already ahead of everyone else. But you need to go even further. You have to do a little more so you can really make it. So you don't get left behind and end up sitting there in 5 or 10 years feeling depressed, knowing you could have done more. So take action now. And many people either just focus on the price, like the price of Bitcoin, for example, instead of seeing the opportunity that's available to us right now. They then wonder why the price of Bitcoin hasn't exploded to $1 million per Bitcoin yet, even though you keep hearing that companies, institutions, and governments are investing billions of dollars in Bitcoin. How is it possible that with all this massive buying, the price doesn't really go up or even worse, sometimes even falls? Why is this happening today? Why is all of this happening? So let's take a look at this and uncover the truth about how these big players like BlackRock and MicroStrategy are buying Bitcoin without the markets reacting, and why this could be the opportunity of a lifetime for investors like you and me. It's a question that confuses many people interested in Bitcoin and one they don't really understand. We've always been told that large institutions and even governments are investing billions in Bitcoin. So why doesn't the price reflect this demand? Shouldn't the price of Bitcoin have skyrocketed by now and be much, much higher? The answer basically lies in the unique way these big players acquire Bitcoin, a method that allows them to quietly accumulate without disturbing the market. And today, we're going to break it all down so you can understand it. I'll explain exactly what's happening behind the scenes, reveal how these long-term investors operate, and give you insights that could change the way you see Bitcoin futures. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Why isn't the Bitcoin price reacting to all this massive buying? The simple answer is that most of these activities aren't happening on public exchanges. The big players like BlackRock, MicroStrategy, and other companies, institutions, or even governments aren't placing billion-dollar orders on Binance or Coinbase in the open market. If they did, the price would skyrocket as the orders are executed. Instead, they use methods that keep their buying activity under the radar for now, creating an illusion of stability on public exchanges. But make no mistake, the supply of Bitcoin available to regular investors is shrinking every single day. With only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever exist and an estimated 3 to 6 million already lost forever, the available supply is running out quickly. Over 19.5 million Bitcoins have been mined so far, leaving less than 2 million to be mined over the next 100 years. So the real question now is, where is all the Bitcoin going right now? Who is buying Bitcoin? So let's talk about the big players like BlackRock and MicroStrategy, who are quietly accumulating Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, the largest corporate holder, impresses with a stash of nearly 600,000 Bitcoins, far more than one might expect. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin ETF also holds hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins, opening the door to this cryptocurrency for institutional investors.
I believe Bitcoin is legitimate.
You have been a leader in being willing to embrace crypto. You have made it possible for people to invest in Bitcoin. We hear that you are considering Ethereum. These are incredible developments. Now, BlackRock is by no means known as a risk taker, so you must obviously believe that this could serve as an alternative. Is this an alternative because of the deficit? Maybe something people should hold for the long term?
Absolutely. As you know, I used to be a skeptic.
Yes!
I was a proud skeptic. And I studied it, learned about it, and I came away thinking, okay, my opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's what I think today. This is what I believe in now. I believe in the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. I'm not saying there aren't bad uses, just like with anything else, but it is a legitimate financial instrument that can offer you potentially uncorrelated, non-correlated types of returns. I believe it's an instrument you invest in when you're more fearful, though. It's something you turn to when you think that countries are debasing their currency, devaluing their currency through excessive deficits. And some countries are. I believe there are countries where people are afraid for their daily existence. And if you have the chance to invest in something that's outside your country's, control, then you can have more financial autonomy. So I'm a strong believer that there is a place for Bitcoin in investment portfolios. I think you're going to see it become one of the asset classes that we all consider. I see it as digital gold, as I mentioned earlier, and I truly believe that everyone should consider it as a real alternative, given the optimism I have about the world. If you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope unless your hope is to make a lot of money from it. But I see it as a vehicle where you express your financial acumen when you're more fearful of the world, more fearful for your own existence. And I believe it has significant industrial applications. And I think a lot of people are overlooking that.
I couldn't agree more. I changed my mind about it when you did. You would have been my thinking if...
The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust also holds several 100,000 Bitcoins, while Fidelity's Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund likewise possesses several 100,000 Bitcoins and holds a strong position there. Block 1, a private company, owns 140,000 Bitcoins. Governments are also getting involved here. The United States of America holds just under 210,000 Bitcoins, mostly from seizures. China is reported to have just under 194,000 Bitcoins, a number that is extremely high and shows how states are represented in the game. El Salvador, which was the first country to introduce Bitcoin as legal tender, owns just under 6,000 Bitcoins. This means that major players like institutions and governments are quietly buying up Bitcoin in the background and taking it out of circulation, but not through public exchanges like most of us do. Instead, they use OTC trading, that is, over-the-counter desks private transactions that take place behind closed doors. Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy even explains that his company uses regulated exchanges like Coinbase, but with special algorithms to avoid influencing the market. And this way, they can buy large amounts of Bitcoin without affecting the price or causing price fluctuations. The good thing about this is that it prevents the market from being flooded with Bitcoin and the price from dropping. One thing is certain, when the OTC reserves are depleted, these players will have to buy on public exchanges, and that could lead to sharp price jumps. For us as small investors, this is a huge opportunity. Because of these private purchases, Bitcoin becomes scarcer and every satoshi you acquire today increases in value as fewer are available. So if we see calm in the market, it's deceptive. It's basically the calm before a possible storm. And as soon as the big players switch to public exchanges, demand could exceed supply and send prices skyrocketing. That means what seems expensive today could soon be a bargain. And if you're new to Bitcoin, now is a good time to get started. You don't need a large fortune. Just start small, stay consistent, and collect satoshis, the smallest units of Bitcoin. Its scarcity is Bitcoin's greatest strength, and it works in your favor. And the strategies of the wealthy are paving the way for a revolution where everyone can benefit, no matter how much they've invested. So stay patient, focused, and strong. Time and Bitcoin are on your side. And if you want to store your cryptocurrency securely, to store Bitcoin securely, click the link in the description below the video. There, you'll find a way to do that.